So now let's take a look at a framework that can help guide a conversation around strengths and even around weaknesses. It all starts with partnering with a client if they are, again, going through a transition. They're wanting to have a better understanding of their professional brand and how to articulate that brand to others in order to seek a promotion, to go through a transition, to realign expectations around their role, and so on. If a client would like to work on those things, we as coaches can suggest strengths and weakness coaching to support that development of their professional brand. And with that partnership in mind, then we can offer this step-by-step framework and explore from there. So the first step is to help the client to identify categories where they feel strong. Categories of tasks, and these can be tasks in work and outside of work, where they find themselves most strengthened, most excited about their life and their work. And these need to be tasks, not results. These are not things that have happened to them or have happened as a result of what they've done. I might like coaching because of the excitement and the fulfillment of my clients, but that is not what is energizing me about the task itself. The task itself is energizing in that in the midst of a coaching session, I'm having to be creative in the moment, and that moving in the moment, that uncertainty of what's going to happen, that is very exciting. That's very engaging to me. Regardless of what the outcome is, I can still enjoy just the task of coaching. You can take this on with public speaking or managing and all sorts of other things. We're not looking at the result and the fulfillment one gets as others give them praise on how well they've done with this task or that task. It doesn't matter, again, the result of the speech, the result of the coaching session. What we're looking for is helping the client understand what are those tasks when they're doing those things. They feel like they've lost the sense of time. They're in that state of flow. They feel fully engaged. And they, in many ways, might feel like they could volunteer. If they were able to volunteer to do something, they might really enjoy volunteering to do this task itself just because the doing of this thing is fun, regardless of what happens. You will need to explain that definition of strength, that definition, in order to help the client identify those things that they would be most excited about, those things that are at least categories of their strengths. It's good for you to have a category, and what we'll look at in future or later in this session, your category and also your strength statement to demonstrate to the client what we're really after. We're looking at something that energizes you in and of itself, the activity, the task that engages you so well. And I talk about categories because many times that's where clients start. We can ask them, what do you most enjoy about your work? Not what you get out of it, but the things that you do that you most enjoy. You might even have to redirect them if they give you a result instead of the activity. But as they do that, they'll often give you the category. I most enjoy communication. I most enjoy leadership. I most enjoy managing. I most enjoy getting on the computer and just doing the raw coding. And I don't like doing the management anymore. I most enjoy whatever it might be, connecting with others, brainstorming, being creative. All of those things I just listed, though, are really just categories. Communication, for instance, is such a broad category that it could mean almost any kind of job in a company. We communicate through our language, through how we build slides for presentation, how we send out a memo to our teams, even how we do coding for a website. That's all communication in part. So what do we mean by communication? So once the client has put some of those categories onto the table, then we need to help the client explore more deeply what those subcategories might be, what the actual tasks would be. So I see that you really enjoy leadership here. Thank you for listing that one. As you imagine yourself as a leader and the work you've done as a leader, let's say over the past month or two, what specific things have you been doing as a leader that have been most engaging for you? And here we want to help them recall multiple instances where they have felt that they have performed at their very best as a leader. So we're going to put all these little examples onto the table. And as we look at those examples, we then want to help them sort the examples. As you consider these different examples of your work as a leader, what are some patterns you're seeing here? What are your favorite types of work as a leader as you look at all these different kinds of things that you've been doing? And you help them maybe rank those things and sort through them to be able to say, my favorite thing to do as a leader is actually to have a tough development conversation, because when I'm having it, I feel like I'm being stretched. It's uncomfortable, but I feel like I can do that type of work well. And as I prepare and give that, I have seen such good results that I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. Just having this tough conversation that maybe no one else has. That's the kind of thing I most enjoy is being part of being a leader. That's so much more impactful and clear than I like being a leader. I like communication. Could be, in my instance, one of my favorite things is to speak in front of a group of individuals and to have an idea of what I'm going to be talking about, but to also build in the moment what I want to say with the audience. So what I do in coaching is very similar to how I like to present. It's kind of like a jazz performance style of presenting. I am playing a certain tune, a certain piece, I should say, but I'm going to adjust that performance based on the interaction with the audience. In putting those little types on the table and helping them sort through them, we should have one, maybe two really strong strengths that the client can begin to better understand, to better verbalize. They might have a sense that I really like speaking to a group of 50 people in a team-wide meeting, an organizational-wide meeting, and to have a solid slide deck and to have all of my Q&A ready. I really like that process. But that wasn't very succinct, what I just said. What we want to help clients do from there is to take what patterns they see in their work and to create a succinct one-sentence summary statement. Marcus Buckingham calls this kind of thing a strength statement. And to succinctly be able to speak about their strengths. And there's a very valuable impact of doing this type of work, because the more clear and succinct and powerful that strength statement can be, the more they can share that with others. The more, as they are walking down the hallway with their team members, they can just simply summarize what they care about, what they most enjoy doing, how they are most engaged with their work. And so working with the client to create a bit of a rough draft of their one-sentence summary of that strength, put that on the table. And every time I'm saying put it on the table, it's really take note of it as a coach. And maybe you can even share this on the screen with the client, some of the takeaways, put it up visually as you see in the slide, what that statement could be. From there, the client can work with you on another strength statement and build maybe multiple strength statements based on multiple categories. And as they have 3, 4, 5 of these, at that point, one of the most valuable aspects of coaching around strengths is to help them rank which of these are most exciting to them. If you could dedicate 80% of your time, and that's sometimes very hard to imagine doing, but if you could dedicate 80% of your time to one of these things, which would be most exciting for you? And which would be second most exciting for you, and so on. And that gives, again, a bit of a framework, a filter for the work that is coming in for the member, the client. They can better understand how they want to build their work around their strengths. And that understanding, that self-awareness, then leads them to be able to share how they'd like to build their work with their manager, with their peers, and beyond. This leads us to the application of the strength statements. After the client has a good understanding of what their top 3 to 5 strengths might be at the time, they can then write those down. They can track how much they're spending their time in those things. They can seek ways of adjusting their work expectations so that they're doing a little bit more each week in those areas of strengths. They can look for ways of delegating, because if these are the areas where the team can get the most value out of them as a team member, then it's going to be valuable for the client and the company and their team to use their strengths a little bit more. Massive shifts might be challenging to do, but building a reputation over time can come as the client is intentionally looking for opportunities to maybe even volunteer to leverage those strengths more, so they can really build that brand and the exposure around those strengths. They can discuss their expectations, their desires, their strengths with their leader. The way they do this, they want to do it with authenticity, but also a restrained authenticity. They don't want to say, this is what I need, and if I don't get this, I'm going to have to leave the company. I've got to do these things, or I'm going to have to quit. Instead, it's valuable for the client to say, hey, I've been working with my coach, and these are some of the strengths that I find I'm not only good at, but I also get really energized by. And I'm curious how we might, over time, be able to adjust some of my work expectations to be more in line with these types of activities. And beyond that, the client can use this understanding of their strengths to better set themselves up for future opportunities. It can be a way that they build something as simple as their resume or LinkedIn profile, or how they succinctly and clearly articulate how their strengths align with the needs of a job description. And so in an interview, they can demonstrate a professional self-awareness around their professional brand based upon their strengths. I hope this is helpful. I would encourage you to practice these things. We'll be practicing the idea of strengths coaching in our session, but I found it to be very powerful to take 2, 3, 4 sessions with some of my corporate professionals and executives and help them better understand themselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to share those things to build themselves into a better professional and to build their teams into more effective teams.